Hello and a very warm welcome to the late-breaking F1 podcast presented by Harry Eade, Sam Sage and me, Ben Hocking, back with another summer break episode, but a different episode, Sam.
Summer break. It's the summertime.
Jazzy Jeff.
Get in the cupboard with Clives, Jazzy. God.
Well, don't say that again.
Getting jazzy with Clives.
You're going to get to know us a little more because we've been asking for questions. And baby, did you send them in? We've got loads of questions.
We have been inundated by questions. Actual more than one question. So thank you for that.
I can't get out of the
If it had been one question, it's been a really, really awkward episode. We'd have had to say a lot of gibberish.
The question would be, why would anyone send you questions?
That sounds about right. But in this instance, it's wrong because we have had a lot of different questions to the point where there's no chance, unfortunately, that we're going to get through all of them. But we will do our best. We will endeavour to get through as many of them as we possibly can. It is a very special Q&A episode. But before we get there, this is your last warning, folks. If you're not a member of the Patreon already, you can get your tickets for the United States preview live show that we're doing in Austin, Thursday, 17th of October. I appreciate I mentioned it on the last episode. I mentioned it 2 episodes ago, but I won't be mentioning it on the next episode because at that point, we will be on general sale. So if you are a member of the Patreon or want to become a member of the Patreon on the middle or upper tier, you can do so now and get your tickets because they are selling fast.
Like hotcakes.
I was about to say
There it is.
We are one as 3, you know.
Full disclosure, if you turn up expecting hotcakes, you will be disappointed.
Hey, I'm bringing the hotcakes.
There's a few free things there, but hotcakes are not one of them.
Sam isn't allowed into the country. He's stopped at the border because he's trying to smuggling hotcakes.
We've heard this guy's bringing in the hotcakes.
Sir, can you remove the hotcakes from the case, please?
It's just one hotcake.
Right, Q&A. We have, like I said, we have had a lot of different questions and a wide variety of questions as well. Some of them very serious, some of them about F1, some of them about us, and we'll try and incorporate that variety as we go through. Some of them we might spend a bit longer on, some of them might be very quick answers indeed. But we're going to start with a question from our dear friend Mike on Instagram, and this one was, I think, the most liked comment of the lot, and I appreciate this is something that we would have mentioned on a previous Q&A we've done, but we're getting new fans in all the time. The question was, tell us again how you met. Were you all the same grade level in school? Was it love at first sight, or did you all have to grow on each other a little bit?
Oh, Mike.
We didn't do that, Mike.
Don't phrase that like that.
It's not that bad, but... Anyway, do you want to take this one, Sam?
Yeah, sure. So no, we don't really do grades here in the UK. We kind of do years, and the gentlemen that I do the podcast with are technically younger than me by one whole academic year.
It's like 12.
Yeah.
That makes me sound like a creep if that was true, though, wouldn't it?
Accurate.
Good. Thanks. So, yeah, we met in college. I knew Ben from secondary school. He was the year below me at secondary school. We were on the school council together.
Do it.
Ben, do you want to tell the story? I think it's funnier when you tell it about the secondary school
Yeah,
council.
it probably is. So, as mentioned, we were in separate years at secondary school, but we did get the pleasure of meeting one another via school council. We were both representatives of our respective years. My first introduction to Sam was as part of one of these meetings where the agenda was essentially... the first item on the agenda, it certainly wasn't the only item on the agenda, but it became that way. We were choosing what tree to put in a certain part of the school, a brand new area of the school. And there must have been about 12 of us on this student council. And 11 of us were not all that bothered, but thought that one option was marginally better than the other one. So we went, let's move this along. Let's go with that one. Can you guess the one person who wasn't on board with that and was rebelliously choosing the other random tree? That man was Sam Sage. At which point I knew that I was never going to spend any time with this guy ever again in my life.
Neither was that tree.
And I was very wrong.
I've never seen it.
So that was my introduction to Sam, which I feel is so fitting.
Yeah, me and Harry met almost weirdly without realizing. I think that we met when we were much younger, right? We played water polo together when we were wee babbers.
We did. We were like, I don't know, 9 or something.
I think
like
I was
that.
about 9, you were about 8 years old. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were very little.
Chopping about in the water, and then Sam quit to go and pursue a career in politics and trees.
It really benefited me.
Anyway, but then we all reconvened at sixth form. Mine and Ben's first year of sixth form. Sam stayed for a second year.
I repeated a year through choice.
To be with us.
Yeah, exactly, to be with us. And we met in our history class. I don't remember the first time we all sat together, but there's the memorable moment was when Sam walked in and then started talking about his Buzz Lightyear lunchbox.
I love that lunchbox.
Like, it was a massive topic of conversation in that.
I think the whole class got behind it, right?
Probably,
yeah. It wasn't a big class.
There's about 12 of us in there, I think. I don't really know how we bonded. I think we just kind of sat next to each other and were kind of maybe irritated by each other for a bit.
Yeah, I don't really know how, but I remember, and I've said this before, and this is probably more our second year, we used to have like a coursework session in the IT suite on a Monday morning.
God,
But we just used that as an opportunity to debrief that Sunday's Grand Prix. So what was effectively the podcast started there. We just did that, but with no one else listening apart from our history teacher, who then proceeded to not give us very good grades, which I understand, given the circumstances.
Fair.
Yeah. So yeah, we've kind of grown into, we've been best friends now for what, 12, 13 years?
13 years.
13 years. And jokes like that have rung for 13 years.
They really have.
A lot of our stupid inside jokes have been the same jokes since we were 17, 18 years old. And now I will be 30 in 6 months' time. So, it's a long time.
And me and Harry will be 19.
Oh, I wish I could swear.
So yes, it was love at first sight, to answer your question, Mike. Next question. I think this one might be a quick question, but I did need to get this in there from Steve the Cheese.
Oh,
Did the casserole go well and did the knitwear suffer?
The casserole was mighty, and the knitwear is fine. Managed to get no sauce on the knitwear, so happy
Goodness
days.
me, you are a careful eater.
Well, I tried my best. I didn't want to put two of my favourite things together. I want to enjoy them separately, and huzzah, a successful day.
Was it a hot experience eating that casserole in that heat?
Let's just say there was a third person at my dinner table, and it was the fan from John Lewis.
Sam a casserole and a fan.
Yeah, that's another podcast waiting to happen.
Unsurprisingly, the next question is not quite as silly as that. This one's actually quite serious and about F1. This one is from Instagram, and it's from James. With all the talk around Andretti quietening down, not sure how long that will last for. But, my question would be this: what should the maximum team limit be? Or would you like to see the older qualify to race system brought back to completely open it up to anyone with a car and a driver? What do you think, Harry?
Pre-qualified?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Let's bring it back. Let's make people turn up for a weekend and then made to go home on Friday afternoon. I think that's funny in itself.
It's for banter.
It's for banter. No, but I'm not necessarily against it. If you get that much interest from that amount, those amount of teams, I don't think we would, to be honest, like we used to have back in the 90s. And let's be honest, it's not necessarily better in the 90s or 80s when they'd had pre-qualifying, because the teams that weren't making the cut were absolutely dire. Like, and sometimes they did make the cut, Andrea Moda, and they were terrible. So I'm not saying that's necessarily where we want to go back to, but if there are that many teams interested, you'd have to have a cutoff, because we want more teams on the grid. But if you're going to have like 36 cars, that might be too many for an F1 grid. I mean, they wouldn't fit on many grids. Monaco would actually be an issue. They'd be parking around Rasgas. There would be no way to actually fit them.
You'd be blue flagged the moment the lights went out.
Yeah.
Move out the way. Sorry.
Yeah. So you have to have some sort of cutoff. So if there is that much interest, then I think that would be, I wouldn't be against that system. We just don't want as we mentioned the other day with the Andretti chat, we don't want a repeat of the Marussia Caterham HRT days, which were more teams, which was great, but they were actually terrible. So that actually wasn't good.
That's the thing. I know we like to dunk on the likes of Alpine and most particularly Sauber and how slow they are. It is worth putting into context. A lot of the time when Sauber are, let's say, 4 tenths away from making it to Q2, and we're like, God, they're slow. It's nothing compared to like the early 90s, for example, when there were teams that were seconds and seconds off the pace. Sometimes even going into double digits, like it was that bad. So I think you're right that we are open to new teams, but they've got to show some competitiveness. Otherwise, they really don't offer anything like those 3 teams in 2010, 2011 did. What do you think, Sam?
Something about 24 cars on the grid just feels right to me. I don't know. 12 teams, 24 cars. It feels good. It feels comfy. I like how it sits, you know? But yeah, no, we don't want no coming into the grid. Thank you. So I'm all up for, 2 more teams joining. I think Andretti is a perfectly good and decent opportunity for Formula One and should be allowed on said grid. But I don't want no brands coming in that we've never secretly heard of, or weird investors that have come out of the woodwork from nowhere. They're like, they've got no social media presence, they've never had a tax return, there's no website. What was that team that was rumored to come in a little while ago? They had like 3 options and none of us had ever heard of the brand in our lives. I ironically can't remember because it was so vague and so random.
When was this? Like
this
recently?
Yeah, we had Andretti were one that were rumoured. Then it was High Tech, I think, wanted to come in.
Oh,
I know who you mean.
Yeah. And then there was a third one that was like...
I forgot what they're called already.
Yeah, right. It was just like a made-up brand. Anyway, Formula... Go on.
I was just going to say, one that also didn't make it in, and that was around the HRT days, so didn't make the cut considering how bad they were, was the US F1 team.
Come on, Peter.
Imagine,
get it working again, boy.
Could you imagine that team? That'd be amazing.
My point here is the grid needs to be bigger, and I think 24 cars feels good. But yeah, I will always keep it at 10 teams if the teams are legit and they're bringing real value to Formula One. My perception of value is different to what Liberty Media feel, though. It's good value.
That is very true. Do you want to hear a fun fact about HRT?
Yes, always.
So there, I can't remember if it was 2010 or 2011, but they basically had no sponsors.
Oh, this is a good fact.
They had like no sponsor. They just like put all over their car like you would look good here, or like something along those lines. I can't remember exactly.
Put your ad here.
Yeah, and they had that at various points. But just above, I think it was just above the exhaust, they had the word surprise. I think it was surprise, but they spelt it wrong.
Oh.
And they didn't bother to change it. It was just spelled incorrectly throughout the whole season.
Surprise, but surprise, surprise.
Yeah, they just didn't bother to put the first R in there, I think.
Oh, God. I actually like it more.
Anyway, that's
excellent stuff.
That's a real
incredibly
surprise.
Random. Next question is from Bo Chris. And I think Bo Chris's question has actually been answered within the Discord, but I think this is a question that others probably have as well. I've been listening for about a year, but can you tell the backstory behind Otmar's 9 kids? It makes me laugh every time, but I can't remember where it came from.
Oh, that's even better than it makes you laugh and you don't know why.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's over a year old.
It was Spa last year.
Yeah. It was just an interview that he gave, wasn't it? And he tried to come up with some strange analogy as to it not being achieved, like having 9 children in a month or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. You can't. Oh, I can't remember the exact quote, but he was talking about
you can't get 9 women pregnant and expect a child in a month, I think was paraphrasing the quote.
And then we somehow came out with the fact that he would have 9 children by the end of the month.
I tell you what, as a joke, we picked it up and we've run with it. We
But
sprinted
in the wrong direction entirely.
Like, it's not what he said at all.
It's not what he said at all. It's like picking up like a rugby ball and going, right, you've got to score a try with it. The line's over there, and then we've run into the car park and got in the car with it. And it's like, it's not really how this works.
And you've all followed us, so
we're now down the motorway together with Otmar's 9 kids in the back.
We will keep making those jokes until the point where they don't appear in things like Question of the Week anymore. So you are encouraging us, people.
Or Otmar sends us a cease and desist.
No, I think I'd still keep making the jokes. That's just even funnier if you sense that.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
9 ceasing desists.
Right. Next question is from J Riz, DTS fan here that got completely hooked and now can't get enough F1. I have a question that I've been wondering but afraid to ask. Besides talking to literally any media outlet that will listen, what does Helmut Marko do at Red Bull?
Be a spanner.
Move on. Next one.
That's the answer I'm sure you've been looking for.
Well, I think technically, and correct me if I'm wrong here, he looks at his oversight is over the junior driver program, right?
Yes, which he's been doing for the team before the team was even an F1 team. So he's been overseeing that role for a very long time. But I think unofficially he acts as an advisor to both teams. But also, no silly questions here. Absolutely no silly questions. So don't ever feel embarrassed to ask something like that, because
anything you want.
It is a very valid question because, as you say, he appears on every media outlet possible, but you don't actually get to see what he does. So
because of his job title, you almost think, why are you the one talking? It doesn't make sense. So I get why you're confused.
Because he says things, so journalists go up to him. I don't think he probably looks for them as well, but yeah, they should really stop him.
Man has no filter.
Do you remember COVID camp?
Oh
God.
Let's just give them all COVID and put them in a room together for 2 weeks, and then they'll be super strong.
It's not chicken pox.
I'd actually forgot about that.
Oh God, it's like the boot camp for kids.
You saw it that way?
They could die.
Yeah, imagine you killed off an entire grid of F1 drivers.
That's his plan, because he wants to get back in the car again.
Oh God, no! Him
dear.
against Toto for the title.
Next question, and I've got it here from Matthew, but actually this was asked by a couple of people. What do you all do for work in real life? As if the podcast is fake. I appreciate the phrasing of that question,
Fake
but
life.
I know what you mean. Harry, what on earth do you do?
It's a good question. I don't know. No, I work for Aston Martin, the car company, not to be confused with the F1 team.
What do you do though, mate?
I look after their social media. So all the pretty pictures of cars that go on their Instagram is me.
I've got a bone to pick with you actually about this.
Oh,
Oh
God.
no, why?
You were part of a very lovely video that was made recently.
Yes.
Great piece of social. As someone who also works in social media, fantastic, loved it.
Thank you.
You shared a BTS moment of you cuddling another man.
I think technically I was being cuddled by another man.
Fine. That's not what my qualm is. My qualm is, why were you wearing those trainers with that suit?
Because so for context here, my silhouette is featured in a couple of videos that we've done, and because I was only ever been seen from the back / blurry, they were like, you just need to wear a shirt and jacket. Don't worry about changing anything else. So you never see my trainer, and because I'm actually wearing jeans.
I feel like you're not fully in character here.
I'm not,
You're not committed.
Not committed to the bit. No, I know. So I do appreciate that is a terrible look.
So on this podcast now, are you naked under the camera? We can just see your t-shirt.
Every time.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Not committed to the bit.
Just so you know, guys, I'm always naked.
I'd love it if you got up and walked off now. Two little cheeks.
Like Winnie the Pooh here.
Oh, bother.
Good. I'm glad that's how my bit of my job
That's what
ended.
Harry does for a living. Sam, what do you do? You like the horses?
I don't like. Well, I shouldn't say that. People won't mind listening.
You hate horses.
I hate horses with a passion.
I work.
Your interview.
Yeah, I did. I work in a different kind of racing. I am head of social media for Ascot Racecourse, which is, if you're from America, it's similar to the Kentucky Derby. If you're in Australia, it's the same as the Melbourne Cup location. We're the biggest racecourse in Europe, the most famous one. It's owned by the royal family. And I run their social media. So I talk about horses and jockeys.
You see Scouting for Girls.
I met Scouting for Girls and I bonded over my favourite song, Michaela Strachan. And we discussed how much we both loved her as kids.
Of course.
Sure.
Ben, what do you do?
Yeah,
I
this is a big
do
one,
this
here we go.
podcast called the Late Breaking F1 podcast.
Right,
Yeah. I appreciate this answer to this, because this isn't the first time we've answered this question on a Q&A episode before, but this is the first time I can answer it by saying that this is what I do full time now. I previously was in the wonderfully sexy world of email marketing, but
It's inside your inbox.
it's great.
Just sliding in there.
But I've left that world for others to conquer. So yeah, I'm now full time on this, which is thanks to you, lovely people. So I very much owe you a great deal.
There you go. Hopefully that clears it up. Now you know what we do in our lives, and you can come and find us like weirdos.
But please don't.
Please just remember we're normal people.
At least with you two, it might be at your workplace. Someone would just turn up outside my house.
Follow the LB bat signal that you've got on the blind behind you.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Or they've just tracked down like the PO box that we've got, and
That's got a bad starting place, actually.
yeah, I'm basically just giving people a way to invade my personal life. I'm not sure
They're not coming after you. It's too far away, mate.
Too far away.
That's a fair point. Trains are bad these days.
No one lives down there.
We'll do one more before we go to our first break. This question is from James. Who will have the upper hand at Ferrari next year, considering what a great season Charles is currently having, given the machinery he has to work with? I think this is something we have touched on once or twice, but Sam, who has the upper hand?
I think Leclerc is going to have it. I'm not going to lie. I picked Leclerc against Vettel back in 2019. And
I got a second.
Hang on.
So, sorry, did that not happen?
Yes, you did, but also with
good.
the caveat of
what? That doesn't matter.
I think
that's
there's
about
a
the car
caveat
itself.
that's needed
That's
here.
about the car itself. We're talking about drivers here. I think that Leclerc, who is very much at home at Ferrari, he's very used to the team, used to the car, the development. I mean, Lewis Hamilton is obviously sensational. I just think he's a little bit over the peak. He might have one of his best years of his late career, and I still don't know if it's going to be enough to be a fully up and running Charles Leclerc in the first year. So yeah, I think Hamilton will take some time to adapt. If the car isn't built his way, I think he might struggle a little bit in comparison. But so yeah, Leclerc I think is the favourite for me.
I think I would agree with that. I think one of the big unknowns is particularly relating to Hamilton. Obviously, we know his ability, but he's obviously spent so long at Mercedes. He spent so long at McLaren. How quickly is he going to be able to get it together at Ferrari? I would assume, just based on how great he is, that it's going to be quite quick. But equally, even if it only takes him a few races to get used to that car, that could be the advantage by the end of the year. So I do think Charles Leclerc will have, at the very least, an early advantage over Lewis Hamilton. But I'm more intrigued about where it is towards like the middle and the end of the season, and whether Hamilton is there or thereabouts. Harry?
Yeah, I was going to say even like where it is in year 2, because I think year 1 is probably going to be Leclerc. I think Charles is going to give Hamilton a headache on a Saturday, like a stonking headache. You know, the ones like if you've had too many beers the night before or not drunk enough water. It's one of those. It really hurts because Hamilton is obviously the greatest qualifier of all time, but Leclerc is an excellent qualifier. And I think they're going to turn up on Sundays. I think it could be different. I think Hamilton can use his experience and overcome things maybe differently than Leclerc will. The only thing I do worry for Hamilton is and we saw this in Belgium, for example, the last race. He doesn't often make strategy calls himself. He tends to rely. Oh, I know. He tends to rely on the team. And I feel he's gonna have to learn to adapt to that, but that might take a while. So on a Sunday afternoon, that might hurt him slightly versus Leclerc and the experience Leclerc has of Ferrari being Ferrari. But I'm sure he can adapt around that, and things might change anyway. But yeah, on a Saturday in particular, I think he's gonna have to adapt. That being said, write Lewis Hamilton off at your peril, because he's Lewis Hamilton.
Do you think he'll rip him a new one? One bag strategy, and it's like, sorry, Mr. Lewis. We won't do it again, Mr. Lewis. I think he'll turn up and go, right, sit down. You're all in trouble.
I mean, the radio will be they'll wish they had never did it wrong.
Okay, we've been playing with kids, and the headmaster's turned up.
Especially when they're calling it Bono.
Oh, yeah.
Why are you calling me Bono?
Do you reckon first race, Hamilton, Australian Grand Prix, halfway through the race goes, tyres are gone, and the engineer actually thinks the tyres might have actually left the car?
Lewis, what do you mean?
We could get them back for you.
We have some more in the bin.
It'll be if Bono doesn't come with him, I assume he'll get Ricky, right? Who's
no.
Carlos Sainz's engineer.
Ricky!
Oh dear. Should we take our first break on this episode? On the other side, more questions, more answers.
Imagine if it was just more questions.
More questions, no answers.
Dang, that's it. It's just Q from now on.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to this very special Q&A episode. And our next question comes courtesy of Ryan. This one's come from Twitter. While F1 is, of course, a team sport, it is also unique in that it is an individual sport. Other individual sports, such as golf and tennis, have their 4 major championships. If Formula 1 had majors, which 4 Grand Prix would you choose? And should F1 consider such a thing for marketing? Sam, what would you say what would you give as the 4 major championships of F1 if you had such power?
That's a really good question. I really like that question. I don't think we've ever been asked such a question. 3 spring to mind. 3. Silverstone, Monza, and Sao Paulo are the 3 that immediately sprung to mind for me as kind of, big ones to win. You've got the history of Silverstone and Monza, and I just think that Sao Paulo is so bloody good that it deserves to be considered one of the greatest ever. But I feel like you should, much like, I guess, with tennis, for example, you have them, you have one in the UK, one in France, one in Australia, and one in America. I feel like you need one in the Asia region. So I guess maybe Suzuka would be considered maybe the other one. But I think that one's a little bit up for grabs. You got 4 that spring to mind?
Yeah, those 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My answer exactly. In fact, it was the same reasoning as well. I immediately went to Sao Paulo, Silverstone, and Monza, and then thought there probably needs to be a non-European last one. And I know the US is obviously such a booming market, but equally it's kind of spread out across the multiple Grand Prix, and Suzuka has heritage, so I went with that as my 4th one as well. Harry's gonna surely consider one that both myself and Sam haven't said. Go on.
Surely, please.
Yeah, I mean, I chucked Monaco in there, obviously.
What's it replacing of the...
Well, that's my issue. I actually don't know which one I would replace in that because I love all of them. Maybe Monza.
So on the fence.
Monza, yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
I love Monza. Although, side note, have you seen what they've done? Sam, have you seen what they've done to your favourite corner?
No, they haven't played with Ascari.
They have. They've flattened the curves entirely.
I'm livid. The episode's over.
He's fuming.
It's my favourite corner. There's a reason why it's so challenging.
Yeah, no, it's just flat curbs. You can just run all over them.
Oh, for God's sake, I'll get a new favourite corner.
So fickle. Just drop it immediately.
I'll see how it ranks this season. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, no, I really like Monza, but that might be the one I drop if I'm just going to put Monaco in there. But I agree with all your points. Yeah, those would probably be my choices. It seems harsh that Spa doesn't get a mention in there, but it probably just isn't quite. Spa and Monza are probably about the same level for me, I'd say. But yeah.
Sure. A very good question, as Sam mentioned from you there. Next one is from Chris. This one's on Instagram. If each of you were to rob a bank and can partner with one of the other 2, why would you choose that person and why wouldn't you choose the other?
Oh, God.
Right.
This could be interesting. I'll let Harry go first.
I mean, I'm picking Ben.
That seems fair. Seems fair.
Just no even attempt to think about it. You could have pretended to ponder.
I'm not even upset.
Not even that I wouldn't trust Sam to keep the secret. I think you'd say something or something would like you'd do something and the alarm would go off. I don't know.
Imagine if we were robbing this place.
Yeah, exactly.
Bang, bang.
You'd accidentally call the police or something. I don't know. But having said that, that would also be me. So Ben, you should probably rob it on your own, mate.
Rob it on your own, mate. Take Ian the cat.
Take Kirsty. Anyone.
Yeah.
When I was pondering this question earlier, I was wondering if that was an option, because that would be the number one answer. But if I have to give another answer, I am a bit worried about picking Sam for one reason: his close relationship with the banker.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I am actually going to take Sam because,
Oh no.
related to what you said at the end there, Harry, I essentially I'm going to do this by myself, and I just need Sam to do a distraction. And I know whatever I tell Sam, he will be distracting to everyone else. So I'll just go off in the corner and actually rob the bank whilst he does it.
It's great tactics.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that's fair. I accept that.
Equally,
Who are you
I'm
taking?
taking Ben because Harry either wouldn't turn up or he would get the number of the address wrong and just be at a different bank. And I'd walk out with the cash and go,
asleep.
yeah, where's the getaway driver? Where is he? Oh, I'm at bank 351, not 3. I can't remember the last number because that's how he plays every game that we ever play.
On the fence while you're holding a gun up to someone. Oh, I don't know.
Should I rob you? So
Would you like to be robbed? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if I should rob you either. So I'm taking Ben because I just feel like there's a low risk there.
I was very keen for that question to make an
It's a
appearance.
good question.
Next question is from Mark. How does preparation? I will rephrase the question a little bit. What does preparation for a podcast look like? Keen to get some behind the scenes insights.
Well, Ben, you're full time now, so I mean,
Ben, you should really take this one first.
Yeah.
Before our answers.
In terms of the prep, so I obviously have a number of sources I tend to go to for stories.
ketchup, HP, barbecue.
Yeah, mayonnaise.
Yep.
Imagine us like a bank.
yeah, precisely. So I'll obviously keep an eye out for what is trending in the world of F1 and what I think people will be interested to hear about. And then when it comes to either the day of or the day before a recording, I'll then narrow that down to sort of 5 topics, which will sort of include the games and the under pressure submissions that we do as well. But sometimes the schedules very much write themselves. If we're going into a preview of an episode and there are 2 big bits of news, it kind of writes itself based on what we're going to talk about. But certainly, ironically, given we're in the off season, that's when we at least have the opportunity to be a bit more creative about the topics that we're bringing, but have to maybe think a bit harder about exactly what it is. So yeah, essentially, I'll put together a schedule based on what I think the people will be interested in hearing. I'll send it over to everyone else, and then if there are any disagreements or anything I've missed, then someone will flag it.
And then me and Harry tend to put a thumbs up emoji on the schedule that Ben
the
sends
chat.
over.
Real dad vibes.
2 dag vibes going, great job, Ben. Thanks. Because
You've done it again, my boy.
are you willing, son? That's both me and Harry coming through the door at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm just making a schedule back on the computer. Harry, I don't know how much prep work you do.
I mean, to be honest, Ben does the legwork on the prep work. I think where we come in is if there are things like, for example, the last episode where we had to pick 2 drivers who we thought were having a good season and a bad season. A bit of prep work on that. Some arguments for. As much as it sounds like I'd never make an argument, I do try. I guess the other bit as well is actually when we're watching a race, I get my notes out on my phone and write down the ridiculous things that happen for moment of the race and big brain strat and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, mainly it's Ben.
A lot of the time, I never thought I spent so much time thinking of analogies to make comparisons to. But I think it's come. It's not
You just
in the
go
moment,
around your
folks.
fridge, don't you? Like,
I do.
I'll pick that today.
Yeah. Oh, we've got some pickles in a jar. I can somehow put that to a Formula One driver's career. But yeah, that's what it is really. Ben sends over a schedule. We do a bit of research and a bit of prep, and then we go for it. A lot of it is just on the fly, though. I think between the 3 of us.
Yeah, we're just chatting as we said earlier. That's how it started.
Ben is like the barriers at the bowling alley, and me and Harry are like bouncing around while Ben just facilitates.
Pinging about.
Yeah, we hit a ping eventually.
Knocking down 2 pins.
And then the weird animation comes on the screen.
Split.
You said about analogies. That's a very good one.
Thank you. I'll take that.
No one does it better. Next question comes from BK, and this was on Spotify. With Jack Doohan entering the sport, most likely, and with Oscar and Daniel still on the grid, do you think F1 fans would like to see a second Australian Grand Prix on rotation, possibly Melbourne, then Adelaide, or even Mount Panorama? What do you think, Sam?
God, I would love Mount Panorama to be a part of it.
Jesus.
Oh, I love that. Bathurst is sensational as a race.
Button on in his McLaren lives rent free in my head.
Indeed.
Yeah, YouTube it, folk.
Yeah.
And watching them Australian B8 bowlers go around there at full pelt, watching the GT3s go around there at full pelt, it is sensational. So watching a Formula One car race through there, I will drop Albert Park for Bathurst in a heartbeat to give it a go properly. I don't think I personally needs to be a second race. I don't know. Aussie Formula One is very strange. It's always been like this kind of constant, but never maximized. And I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe because we're just so far away, just dies down before it gets here. That's how information works.
Sure.
Like a paper aeroplane.
Yeah, a beam of light.
Doesn't make
dimmer.
it. It gets too dark. Too many things on the way.
Yeah, I don't know. But, I don't know about a second race. I mean, Adelaide is, a classic.
Do you like the
track.
track though? Do you like it?
Well, that's why. I don't know if I do like it more than I like Albert Park. I think Albert Park's probably better than Adelaide. Mount Panorama is an excellent track, but F1 suitable, sadly not. As much as I'd love it to be there, but there's no doubt Australian interest should peak with three drivers, potentially three drivers on the grid next year. It's a big thing for Australia to have that. And the thing is, and Australians, please correct me if I'm wrong here, there is a lot of enthusiasm for F1 in Australia.
They love sport, don't they? Bloody mad for sport in Ausland.
They are. You are. But I think it's very dispersed in that. I don't know if you've noticed, Australia's really big.
It's quite big. It's got not a lot in the middle either.
Not a lot in the middle, and they're willing to travel.
Oh,
so
God, we're getting into geography.
Geography. That's something as a collective we're quite good at. There's not many things. That's all right.
Because collectively, it's all Ben's knowledge.
Yeah, and me and Harry again chipping with like 3
thumbs up.
Yeah, and you're winning, son. Yes, I've guessed the flag for Argentina.
But my point is that I think quite willing to travel to various points to watch sport, etc. So whether there's the actual appetite to have a second one, I don't know. Australians, please write in and tell me I'm wrong, but I just don't know whether there is.
If you write it and post it, it will take 3 years to arrive.
Yeah, we'll let you know in the Q&A in 2028.
Looking forward to that one. I don't think there will be a second race just in Australia because competition for tracks is just so hot right now. I would be surprised if that happened. But I have such admiration for F1 fans in Australia because of the ridiculous hours of nearly all the Grand Prix, particularly at this point of the year, where it's European race, and it's middle of the night racing for Australia. And despite that, it has Canada. You need to catch up, but it has very recently taken over Canada as our third biggest market, and that is pretty phenomenal. Again, given how difficult it must be to be an F1 fan in Australia, and
it's bloody middle of winter there at the moment as well. So it's not like they're having lovely long summer evenings where they're like, oh yeah, I'll chill out with the family and I'll watch the F1. It'd be cold down in Australia right now. So well done to you and to New Zealanders. You are very brave in what you do.
The next question is an interesting one because, at least from Sam's perspective, I think I already know the answer. Or maybe I don't, because I think there might be multiple answers to this. But it comes from Norm, and appropriately, the question is, what is the one thing from Texas you want to try this go around?
Yeah, I'll go first because I think we all know the answer. I do want to go line dancing. I think it's my calling. I think we all know what I'm like. I think once I get it, I'm going to have the best time. Get me in some cowboy boots and I will be there. I'm so keen.
I mean, yes, I'm keen to do some line dancing. The thing I want to try, because I obviously was late last time turning up, I never actually tried some proper barbecue. You boys did.
We did. Thank you, Big Chris.
But
Legend.
I was not there, so that's definitely one on my to do as well. But also, yeah, line dancing, I'll do it.
Ben?
Yeah, I don't. I want to go for the same answer, and it's kind of a cheat answer because again, we did have one instance of barbecue, but I feel like we can do better than that. I think we can, as a quartet.
Well, Kurski's a vegetarian, so that won't work.
Well, no, I mean more just like the overall sort of food landscape in Austin.
Can we go back to the taco place again, please?
I'm not leaving the taco place. I love that taco
those
place.
tacos and those margaritas.
I also
Sam, the plane's leaving. No,
no, I'm living in a taco now. I also want to take you to In-N-Out Burger because you guys haven't been, and it is the best takeaway burger I have ever experienced.
Better than Whataburger?
So, like 1,000 times better. Whataburger's a weird place. What a weird place.
this is very random, but we went to Whataburger last year. And we were quite drunk at this point, I think. And me and Sam were laughing so hard about something. And it's bugged me for nearly a year because I've got no idea what it was. But I know it was hilarious.
What was it?
I've got no idea.
If you go and watch our one of our Austin reels, it's at the end of it. I don't know what you two are laughing at because I'm just stood on my phone.
Was it the guy working there? I think he was miserable or something like that.
I
don't know.
It might not have been very funny and we were just drunk, but
when us as a four get together and we have like more than 2 beers, everything is funny and nothing is actually funny. But we're like kids giggling at the back of the bus.
Next question comes from Ruth. What is a podcast that the late breaking guys enjoy? Harry, I know you've got a few in rotation, don't you?
Right?
I listen to a few. There are a couple. I listen to, and not all the time because there's so many episodes. It actually baffles me how they have time to do this. But it's a World War II podcast, and it's by a historian called James Holland, who's quite in the world of history, a famous World War II historian, coupled with Al Murray, the comedian, otherwise known as the pub landlord, which is a very random mix, but it's very good. So I listened to that one.
It's another man on my hate list, by the way.
Well, Al Murray?
I find him so irritating.
Do you find him irritating or the pub landlord?
No, I find the pub landlord irritating. I'm sure Al Murray is a delightful man.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not even a fan of the pub landlord as a character. I think he's a bit much.
Yeah,
it's the worst of Britain.
Yeah, can you just come on, tone it down, mate. Chill out.
Just a little bit, which is weird because he's actually, I think, quite nice. I listen to that. I listen to. Do
you listen to Empire?
No, I don't. What's Empire?
Empire is a history. But each series are about famous empires throughout history and like their rise and fall and stuff. I haven't listened, but I wondered if you've listened because I'm kind of tempted to try it.
I've not listened. I listened to a couple of American politics podcasts. Don't come after me, folks. But just because you're quite interesting as a political nation.
You guys are far more astute than I am. Ben, what do you listen to?
I'll balance this out. Sorry, Ben. I also listen to Joel Dommett and his wife Hannah Cooper's Never Have I Ever podcast, which is quite funny, where they just try something new each week that they've never done.
I've met Joel Dommett.
Was that one of the Never Have I Ever's?
Never have I met him. I have. Drink. He's lovely.
Oh, he seems nice. Anyway, sorry, Ben.
That's all right. I'll give 2 answers because one of them I'm not listening to anymore because it ended a long time ago. But I do want to give a shout out to what I think is my favourite podcast of all time, which is The History of Rome, which, if you are unsure, is about the history of Rome.
The Greek Empire. Oh,
see, that fools many. No, it's from a guy called Mike Duncan, and it essentially just catalogs pretty much everything up to a certain point, because at the end I think the Roman Empire got a bit confusing as to what was and what wasn't the Roman Empire. But it's it's a great podcast. In terms of podcasts I'm listening to now, I've only recently picked this one up, but I am listening to a podcast called the Cover Free Podcast, which is college football, which I'm getting into quite a lot. Sam?
I want to find the Rome one because I love Roman history. I have only ever listened to 2 podcasts ever.
Is one of them this podcast?
No.
This is both of our podcasts, which is this one. No. One is The Rest is Football, which is Gary Lineker, Alex Shearer, and Mika Richards. I like my football. And they're like us, but old men at this point, and I kind of enjoy that vibe.
A question, because I get served some of their like reels or TikToks, and I really like them because they're quite funny. Could you?
Yeah.
I don't like football really, folks. Could you listen to it if you didn't like football? Because I watched those reels and I'm like, that's quite funny.
Would you say to someone who doesn't like F1, you can still listen to our podcast? Like, seriously, would you say you should listen to our podcast?
I think we're
I'm all about
casual
numbers. I don't care, mate.
anyone, we'll have anyone.
Well, that answer, yes. They talk about a lot about transfers and what happens with the games at the weekend. So if you haven't paid attention to it, then a lot of it.
I love me the football.
The full sport, you love it. And then the other one, this reveals what I'm like really, is I listened to Jamie Lang's and Sophie Habu's Married at First Sight.
That is a good one. That's a good one.
Sight, is it? What's it called?
They were newlyweds, but they're newlyweds now, right?
Yeah, I don't listen to it now. It's called Newlyweds.
The name change was just no.
Not enough vowels.
You got married? No, I'm not doing it. You're married.
Honestly, the vibe changed. Not like with between them, but like what I was interested in was them as a couple and then preparing their wedding. I find that stuff quite interesting. And then they're like, okay, we're just two people who happen to be married talking about stuff now. I'm like, that's not that interesting anymore.
Did you interrupt the vows? Just like, I have something to say.
Don't get married for the podcast.
I object.
Yeah, but I'm just not a podcast guy. So I want to give the Rome one a go though, because I do love my ancient history. So I'm gonna give that a try.
Okay. It might be a bit long for the next break, but we are going to take a break. And then on the other side, can you guess what we've got? More questions.
Hey, no answers.
But we're going to do some answers as well.
Oh.
Okay, welcome back. Next question comes from Peter, which is, if Piastri's form continues, do you think Lando will become to Piastri what Ricciardo became to Verstappen? Sam, as our resident Lando Norris hater, I'm sure you'll have an opinion.
I think they're already closer in ability. I think Verstappen took quite a bit. Like, he always had that raw ability, but I feel like he made far more mistakes than I'm seeing from Piastri right now. We were calling him the crashing for a good couple of years of his career at least, and that's after he got promoted from Toro Rosso to Red Bull, of course, which was the junior team at the time. So I think it could definitely happen in the context of how we see the older driver. Lando is still incredibly young, but you know what I mean, the older of the two, and of how Ricciardo was then challenged by Verstappen. But actually, it could happen far sooner in their career together than I think what happened between with Verstappen coming all the way through the junior ranks and then into the senior team, if you know what I mean.
Harry, your answer?
Yeah, it's a tricky one because you say the potential of Norris might be more than Ricciardo's was, but again, that might be more recency bias because there's a time, maybe 2017, 18, you say Ricciardo could be up there with the great.
You
great
could
drivers.
say that in like 2018, he might be a world champion. You
could
say that.
You could, and you'd be a fool. So
yeah,
don't say that.
Who would say a prediction like that? Honestly,
post the Monaco Grand Prix 2018, I was looking very, very good for that.
Fair point.
And then it went terribly. But you might say the Norris has a bit more potential, a higher ceiling, if you will, than Ricciardo has. But yeah, it's a real tricky one to play out because Piastri's got that vibe about him. Year 2, he's already very impressive in the same way Verstappen was impressive, ironing out mistakes, or not even mistakes, ironing out weaknesses very quickly. In the same way you'd say Verstappen was doing. So it could happen. I just think maybe Norris has a little bit more to offer than Ricciardo did in that fight.
I'm going to keep my answer quite short. No chance whatsoever.
Fair enough.
No chance.
Savage.
Right, next question is from Laurie. What is your favourite jingle? And I'm assuming we're talking LB jingles here. Sam, since you have created some of them, what are you going for?
This is tough. I mean, Back and Forth, I think, is still my ultimate favourite jingle. But the one that sounds a lot like a Killers song does really just actually get me, as in like I quite like how this sounds. The others are quite memeful. that one genuinely sounds like a good song, and I kind of want to hear more from it.
Harry?
I mean, that's a good one. Back and Forth obviously has a special place in our hearts, as does F1 Higher or Lower, because it's
That stupid country vibe.
Yeah. I also really like Live Laugh TV's Pump the Brakes. It's rocky. I'm a big fan.
Pump the brakes.
Yeah, it's got a good beat on it as well.
Haas is actually my favourite one.
I would agree with that.
It's my favourite one he ever did. But it's not a jingle.
My favourite jingle might be, and it's I think the actual answer is Back and Forth because it's the OG. But in terms of other more recent ones, it's a jingle that will be coming up later on in this episode. Show me the options.
Show me the options.
I'm all about that. Like
that remix is so good.
It's something. But yeah, I think we've got a good range of jingles. I'm sure many disagree with that, but let's have a go. Next question is from. We've got to hear from Beef, I guess, at least once. She did put 3 questions, but we're short on time, Beef. You get 1. And I'll pick favourite Britishism. Very difficult to say. Britishism.
That's really hard to think of as well.
Yeah. Favourite Britishisms?
One that just springs to mind. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it. Right.
That's a good one.
That is excellent. That's a very good one.
I don't know if it's my favourite, but it is definitely one that springs to mind. I think that is a very British thing to slap your thighs and go, right, as if to say, we're off. That's it. The time's over of us socialising. It's time to leave.
I mean, that's an excellent one. I think saying the word cheers, because I say it a lot, as a thank you. Just you say it as a thank you, but you also, if you're toasting a drink, you also say cheers. Or you say, if you're Cornish, if you say goodbye, you say cheers and gone.
Cheers and gone.
You certainly do.
It gets used multiple times. I think that's an excellent one. I remember being told off at school for saying cheers to a teacher. She said, "You don't say cheers to me. You're not in a pub. You say thank you."
I'd say.
Just imagine this fuming teacher.
Yeah, Miss Peters. Stop this.
Harry's raising his water bottle at her.
Cheers.
Cheers, miss.
Yeah, that's a good. I think that's quite a good one. What else?
Ben, you got any?
You know, your one was spot on, Sam. Like that would have been right up there for me. Like announcing that you're going to leave, like before you leave, is a very British thing. But
then you end up having another 5-minute long conversation
of course.
The doorway as you get your shoes on, and then as you're waiting for the car. We also have just loads of words I really like that are British. Knackered, chinwag, chuffed, things like this. I'm like, these are great. These are great.
Knackered, she's good.
The amount of words we have for getting drunk, I think, is great.
Trolleyed.
Any e'd or o'd on the end of a word.
Gazeboed.
It's my favourite.
Gazebo might be
absolutely gazeboed is so good. Paralytic as well. I'm not sure that gets used.
You actually said one earlier, so we're talking about being a Whataburger, which was steaming, which is an excellent one.
Yeah,
absolutely steaming.
Trying to think of some others. Balmy when it's cold. Budge up when you can't sit on the side of a seat. You can't budge up. I think that's a very English thing.
Is that British?
I reckon it is.
Not making eye contact or talking on any form of public transport.
Oh God,
yep.
Yeah.
And then this, what you do?
Yeah.
The pursed lips and a little eyebrow raise.
Classic.
If you've never been to London, go. If you do, go on the tube and just look at people.
Don't start a conversation.
Look at each other.
They will never look at you back.
They never will.
Some good Britishisms there. Let's move on to another question. Let's go to Joey. This one got quite a few likes on Instagram. If there was an LBF1 team, what jobs would each of you fill?
I would be fired.
Good.
Left front tyre, Sam.
Ben would be team principal, surely.
I think I'm taking the front jack.
I can't My stress would just go through the roof. Harry.
Actually, maybe you'd be strategist.
Yeah, I'll do strategy. That's fine.
Yeah.
Sam can do
marketing.
A marketing man. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll double front jack and marketing together. That's fine. I'll just scream internally the entire time.
Hey, this is Alpine, all right?
And Harry can do helmet checking.
I would.
That well-known role.
Harry, I think you could do canteen, make some really good sandwiches.
I'd be very happy about it.
I'm imagining Harry as the helmet checker. But do you know that meme where they're standing outside a football ground and the guy is on security just going, not even checking? That would be Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
There's a helmet. I've checked that.
I reckon, Harry, you can knock up lunches all day long. Bit of gammon, lovely sarnie. We're happy.
Knocking up cheese and ham sandwiches for everyone. Lunchtime.
I'd love you in a little what's it called? Little dolly.
I'd come out and offer it to everyone in the middle of the race, like a really inappropriate time.
And a little trolley out there. Sandwich. We're on lap 27.
There's a safety car being called. Ben's trying to work out how to adjust the strategy, and I'm offering him a tuna sandwich.
Not now.
Oh dear.
Should we include an audio submission? Because we've got a couple of those.
Go on, then.
This one's from Blazy. I believe it's 2 questions, but they're both good questions.
Hey guys, hope you're doing well. I have 2 questions for you. My first one is, if Andretti were to be approved by F1 starting tomorrow, what would realistically be their driver lineup? Okay. And my second question is, at this moment in time, who do you think is most likely to win the 2025 Drivers' Championship?
Crikey.
Take the first question first, Sam. What do you think, lineup-wise, for Andretti?
Oh, I really don't know. I think they have to go in and get a vet, someone like Bottas who isn't signed down yet. I think would be sensible for at least a year to get them rolling. And then a second driver, maybe Teo Pourchaire.
No,
I think
he's invisible.
It doesn't exist for anyone but Ben.
Or Zach Brown.
He's literally a figment of my imagination. All right.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'd go for someone like Sebi Vet for a year as well. You know?
To launch you again, look, Vettel's not at the same level he was when he was winning championships, but to launch you come back into F1 and you're probably short on driver options. Stick a Vettel in there for a year. If we promise it's all green, he'd be happy.
Vettel Rosberg. Solid lineup,
Can you
innit?
imagine?
I'm really not against it at all.
I weirdly miss Nico Rosberg in F1.
I don't think it's weird.
No, I want it back.
Yeah. I miss him in F1.
Come back, Nico.
Come get you back, Nico.
But he's one of those things. Sorry, Sam. He's one of those people that you didn't appreciate at the time.
Yeah,
Do you not think?
Yeah,
I just think it's a shame there's no. Sorry, Logan Sargent. Super point valid North American drivers that could step straight into Formula One right now.
Give it to Colton Herta.
I would give it to Colton Herta. I would love to give it to Colton Herta.
They'd either win or wouldn't finish a race, but give it to Colton Herta.
I would explode every race, just like through pure frustration.
While he's checking helmets with Harry.
I mean, if you want an American driver, that'd be a good one to chuck in.
That's
probably.
who I would have chosen if
Yeah.
Super Points genuinely were. It's realistic, right? That's the aim.
Scotty D. Put Scott Dixon in.
Nope.
I love
Scotty
Scott
doesn't
Dixon,
know.
but come on, if you're a new team in F1, you're not bringing in a 40-year-old driver who's never raced in F1.
Well, it'll be okay.
He did BMW test, didn't he, back in the day? He'd be fine.
He's
Exactly.
qualified. He's in.
It would be okay if F1 was absolute carnage every race, because then Scott Dixon would win. But otherwise,
That's fair.
that's his game, right? That's how he wins.
I'm kind of glad Scott Dixon isn't in F1 because he absolutely would have taken Esteban Ocon's only race victory at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Guaranteed. That is the most Scott Dixon race of all time.
And he would have been Lewis Hamilton starting on the grid on his own.
He absolutely would. I actually thought of Valtteri Bottas as well, Sam, just because I'm not sure if Vettel would be interested, but certainly if he is, then he would be a contender. But they need someone with experience, and there aren't that many drivers with experience who are options. So yeah, maybe Bottas. And then in terms of a second driver, Alex Palou. Maybe throw him in.
You might find him hard to prize away given his current position, but if he is under pressure, I'd give Sergio Perez a ring.
Sure.
I actually don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Give him a new lease of life, no pressure. Build that team.
Equally, Daniel Ricciardo is
another
signed
good
on,
option.
right?
Yeah, another American market good option.
The second part of that question: 2025 world champion Sam. Who's most likely at the moment?
Oh, with every team coming along, I think I'm going to go down the route of Lando Norris. Is probably, if he just sorts out those starts, I think he's got it in him to take a championship.
I'm going to go with Max Verstappen. I know it's controversial.
Why would you do that? So risky.
Harry?
Yeah, I'm going to go Verstappen as well. And I'm only saying this if we have the current state of play, because if McLaren have a dominant car, then fine, it'll be difficult. But the current conditions, I think the consistency of Verstappen still wins out. And a drivers' championship, not necessarily constructors, but Verstappen.
Let's see. Dumb Electrician is next. This one's from Twitter. Logan Sargent, Lance Stroll, Zhou Guanyu. One goes to Alpine, one goes to IndyCar, and one goes to Asda as an assistant to the regional manager. Who gets what?
Who's the third option? Logan Sargent, Zhou Guanyu, and who?
Lance
Stroll. Yeah,
Lance Stroll.
I know my answer already.
Go on then.
IndyCar, Logan. Alpine is Zhou Guanyu, and I would love to see Lance Stroll be the assistant to the regional manager.
That is a comedy series right there, isn't it?
He would be so grumpy all the time.
Oh,
what am I doing, Brad? Every time over the voice thing, the tannery.
That'd be so funny. I've got Sam's answer as well. Yeah,
I'm gonna mix it up because I think I'd like to see Lance Stroll in IndyCar because
fair.
For different comedy value.
True.
But also for comedy value, but there'd be some days where Lance Stroll wins. He'd win an IndyCar race, right? He'd be terrible most of the time, and then he'd win the Indy 500.
I mean, no disrespect to this guy whatsoever. Marcus Ericsson, of course, pretty, I don't know, similarly viewed in F1 as maybe Lance Stroll is. He's forged a very successful career.
You read my mind, Ben. You read my mind.
Logan, what was the other option apart from
Zhou and Stroll?
No, the Asda and
Alpine.
what? Sorry?
Oh, the Alpine, yeah.
Oh, I'd put Logan in the Alpine and then I'd put Zhou Guanyu in Asda.
Just put him in Asda.
Zhou Guanyu doing the reducing.
He's got the outfit already with his current overalls, so
Great point. I didn't think about that. That's cutting costs.
He can just write Asda price across it, it'll be fine.
To be fair, if they were sponsored by Asda, it'd be their most reputable sponsor so far this year.
I would also come to every race.
Fair.
I'm brand ambassador.
Can I, Asda, if you're listening, please make me a brand ambassador. I love it.
Just like the entity.
The sign on the shop is listening to me.
Mr. Asda.
Mr. Asda, please call me up, please.
Let's get one last question in before we wrap this one up. This one's another audio one. It's from Bristol Liam.
Right, lads. 2 questions from me. Number 1, what's your favourite F1 livery of all time? Anytime between whenever F1 started and now.
Okay.
And your second question from me is, what do you think of Bristol as a place? Cheers.
I can't explain how much I love the clarifying what F1 history is. Sorry.
I love the clarification of Bristol as a place. Like, instead of what?
Not
a chocolate bar?
As an idea.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a concept.
Best livery of all time, Harry.
I think the JPS gold Lotus is up there, but for just pure nostalgia and going from the heart, the early noughties Ferrari is my favorite because obviously I'm a Schumacher fanboy, but it still holds a special place in my heart, so I'll go for that.
Yeah, I'm going to be basic as heck. 7-Up Jordan.
Classic.
It's a great looking car. Of more recent times, I will throw in the Toro Rosso from about 5 years ago. I think it was a lovely car.
Sorry, for some, if you want a lesson in marketing, listen to Eddie Jordan, because
Man knows what he's doing.
he didn't have a lot of money, so would go to sponsors and be like, I'll paint my car green if you sponsor me 7-Up, and then did, because obviously they said yes, because it's like a really fast can of 7-Up going past you. That's a good idea.
Harry, you've really explained that well.
Thank you.
And we're still talking about it now. Sam, your favourite livery?
Everyone knows this already. It is a Jordan, but it's the 198 with the Benson hedges and the wasp on the side of the nose. It is the first car I remember really falling in love with as a kid, and I think it is still so cool. And yellow and black is the absolute top combination of colours you can have on a race car.
Early noughties Jaguar as well. I need to give that
I
a shout.
was going to shout out the Jaguar. You know what? That green is immense.
With or without the gold wheels, Ben?
We're waiting.
Can't deal.
Goodness
Can't
me.
deal with gold wheels.
You're an idiot.
Goals are a yes.
Well, that'll do it. I mean, we didn't even get through like a quarter of the questions we've got, so apologies. We waffle on, as you probably already know. But I mean, it's evidence that we'll do another one of these based on how popular it was. So thank you to everyone who submitted your questions, those that were answered and those that weren't. We're going to take our final break on this episode. On the other side, we're playing Show Me the Options. Welcome back, everyone, to the final part of today's episode. It's time for Show Me the Options.
Shut me my options!
Well, this reminds me of that weird GIF where that kid is like dancing like a Russian nightclub with sunglasses on.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I feel dancing to that song.
I thought when you went to a nightclub gif, you were going to talk about the guy whose eyes are literally popping out of his head.
Or the one where he's like,
I can't explain how much I love that.
eats the microphone.
It's the fact that he does it a second time, which is brilliant.
He got him twice.
Doesn't have to answer the question. Do it again.
Come on, England.
That is an iconic clip.
It really is. Oh, if you haven't seen that, you must be so confused right now. Apologies. Show me the options. So 6 questions. Sam and Harry will take it in turns to either answer the question that I give them straight away with no help whatsoever. If they get that question right, they get 2 points. But if they think they could use just a little bit more help, I will give them 3 options if they say the words, show me the options. And if they then get the question right, they get 1 point. Let's start with Harry this time. What number would you like?
Number 2, please.
Number 2. I actually had to alter this question today because I realised that it was not actually factually true. But I've altered it in a way that it is now true.
Is it about Abu Dhabi?
No,
Yeah, is it about
fortunately, it's not. With the exception of the 1963 Mexican Grand Prix, we're going to put to one side and pretend it doesn't exist. Who is the only driver to ever choose the number 13? Not race it, but choose the number 13.
Is it Adrian Sittle?
It's not Adrian
No, he's
Sutter.
number 99.
Damn.
Any idea, Sam?
Oh, I feel like I do know it, but no, I'm not gonna. It's not my question. So you go.
Is it Gutierrez?
No.
Oh, God.
You're not far off. You're in the right era, at least. Of course, 13 in a lot of countries, an unlucky number.
Yeah.
But it is lucky in someone's country. Pastor Maldonado is the only driver. But I found out that some random guy in the 1963 Mexican Grand Prix also had the number 13 for one race.
Hold on, I've just Googled it. In F1, though, the number was used twice in Mexican Grand Prix of 1963 by Moises Solana and in 1976 by Davina Gallica.
Yeah, but they didn't qualify, so that one doesn't count.
Oh, right. Okay.
He's actually there, son.
Is that absolutely? You know what? That's me mugged off. Chips are down the road.
Well, it's Harry that's been mugged off because he got no points from that question. So, Sam, at 0-0, what number would you like?
I'll have number 5, please, man.
Number 5. What was good friend of the podcast, Herman Tilke's first circuit to be raced on in F1?
Show me my options, please.
Way. You've got Shanghai, Big Bud, and Sepang.
Okay, I was going to pick Shanghai, so I'm going to stick with my guns.
It is not Shanghai.
Fine, at least I was committed to that from the guess.
Sepang was the first ever Tilke racetrack raced on in F1.
That was a good one, that wasn't it?
Yeah, should probably bring that one back. This is the only good one he did. That's not
Shanghai is so good.
okay. That's not quite fair, but equally, it's not that far away from the truth either. Harry, what number would you like?
Number 6.
Number 6. Who took Stewart's only race win?
Little.
Not Stuart Little.
Goddamn mouse.
Johnny Herbert wins.
Yep, he absolutely did win the 1999 European Grand Prix, Stewart's only race victory. Well done. That's 2 points for you, Harry. Sam, back to you. What number?
4, please.
Number 4.
Harry.
Where did Michael Schumacher finish in his last ever F1 season?
On the track.
That's not the correct answer.
We're talking about championship position, or we're talking
Championship
about
position, yeah.
I know that Harry knows this, and he's clawing at himself for the answer.
I don't know this.
I'm going to say he was 9th.
He was not 9th. Any idea, Harry?
11th.
No, a bit further down, 13th.
No, I didn't want to do the Michael like that.
That's fair. That's completely fair. We stay at 2-0. Harry, back to you for your final question.
Number 1.
Oh, nails it.
You're wrong it.
Fernando Alonso became the youngest F1 drivers' champion when he won the title in 2005. Who held the record before him?
Goodness me.
What was a big breath into the mic there?
So sorry, everyone. Was it Schumacher?
It was not Schumacher.
Ah,
Was it Senna?
No. You have to go even further back.
Nicky Lauda.
No. But you're at least in the right era when you say Niki Lauda. And you had the right nationality with Ayrton Senna. Emerson Fittipaldi was the youngest drivers' champion until Fernando Alonso came along.
Wow. He held on to that for a while.
He did, yeah.
Because that's been trumped a few times since Alonso.
It's quite impressive, yeah, that he yeah, you're right. He held on to that record for, over 30 years. That's
Wow.
quite impressive. Which means, Sam, there's only one question left. What number could it possibly be?
I'll pick number 3, my lord.
Okay, and with it being 2-0 as well, might as well go for this one without the options, of course.
Oh, because I'll definitely get it right.
In what year was the Halo device introduced into F1?
Oh, bloody halo. When did we make that content? You
can do this, Sam.
I actually don't think I can, so I'm just going to come out and... Oh, no, I don't want to guess that. I know it starts with 2000, so that's a good choice.
Wasn't in the 90s, correct?
I'll give you a 10th of a point for that.
All right, we're 5% of the way there.
Or a 10th.
Oh, no, 'cause it's only 1 point. I need 2 points.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay.
Quick math.
Quick math. 2019.
Oh, man.
Oh, no, I'm a year out.
18.
Oh, that's what I said. I'm not going to say that. Damn it.
Very close, very unlucky. Which means, Harry, with knowing that Johnny Herbert has given you this victory.
Thank you, Johnny.
Well, I know there's been a lot of questions and a lot of answers on today's episode. But I feel like there are some more answers coming up on what I can only describe as the greatest segment in all of Formula One podcasting. It is the
LB question of the week.
We've been going on for ages. No time for that.
God, this has been going on for ages.
Have you noticed that's actually my new plan with episodes, is just to extend them long enough
Just so I don't do
where
that.
Harry doesn't do that anymore. It's working very well. This week's question of the week was, and it was in relation to what we discussed on last week's episode, where we all gave our 3-word summaries for each team. But we've just asked, what is your best 3-word summary of the 2024 F1 season so far? Which means, I mean, based on all of these being 3 words, they're actually quite easy to read out. Sam, what have you got?
Christopher Johnson with Yabba Dabba Do.
That was there a few times, which I was glad to see.
I think that's fantastic. Right at the top here, we've got Grey Primordial Soup with Grower Not Shower, which, yeah, fine. Much like Fast But Silly, I imagine.
Don't know what you're
We're
talking
not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
Good. Mara here has said, where is Harry?
Whatever is Harry.
The thing is, though, you're on this episode, so you get the last laugh.
Yeah, laugh
Yeah.
at her.
Yeah.
Back over there, mate.
Great laugh.
Thank you very much.
Free Charles Leclerc. That was from Anna.
Yeah,
Yeah.
saw that. Yeah, fair. Poor lad.
That joined the Patreon, which I thought was very, very apt.
Definitely.
Nate here has said moist saucy banger.
I don't know what that means.
I don't understand what that means.
Quite glad not to.
Jay Dunkley said wet K mag goat.
Chelsea has said Lando can't start.
Yeah. I also, similar vein to that, I think someone else had Lando's poo starts or something
just
along
read
those
that, yeah,
lines.
yeah.
Nice. Like,
Which,
good.
you know, is fitting with our vibe as always. I have one from Brant who said news on Thursday.
Yes, I just read that one. That's fantastic.
F1 Truther with 2012 Wish version.
Yeah.
Kyle here says Checo Perez washed.
Oh, come on.
Savage. A lot of pumpernickel references in here.
Yeah.
Goofers with pumpernickel with sausages, and then Ali with a spicy pumpernickel. They're everywhere.
I mean, I'm okay. I feel like I'm single-handedly responsible for starting a global pumpernickel movement. They must be flying off the shelves.
Sure.
There's someone here who's commented. I'm not reading it because it's been hidden my Instagram, but they're called Uncle Timmy.
Oh, I need to
Surely not.
find it.
Tim.
I need to find it. Tim, is that you?
I'm not reading what they put, but also that's very funny considering.
Oh, I've just found it. Folks, you have to go and find it. We can't read that out.
I mean, to be fair to Uncle Tim, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Thirsty Platypus has just put Ben harassment hocking.
So true. Love this one from Jordan. Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
In
All
one
one
word.
word. Yeah.
Yeah, there were a few instances where people were interesting with their interpretation of 3 words.
So, like Robbie saying, 3 words. How am I supposed to fit nipples out for George then?
You can't and you shouldn't.
No. No.
Ah, good. I mean, it's amazing that so many of you have managed to put 3. It's like that What 3 Words app, isn't it? We've just created new versions for them.
Sure. I'll meet you, Sam, at Pumpernickel Alpine Poo. And then that's, yeah.
Is that
We
the
are
pub?
giving content.
Great, good. We are helping the people both in comedy and in life issues.
Question of the week, of course, will be back next week. We are sailing through the summer break at some pace, Sam.
Sailing indeed. Folks, remember, if you enjoy the show so much in your ears and you are traveling to Texas for the live show, then join the Patreon because you get that early access to those tickets. We've got a little bit of time left where it is Patreon only access, half a week as we record this. So get your hands on tickets. We are 50% sold at this point, which is amazing. More so than last year. So they're selling out faster than expected. please join. It supports us massively, and you get so much more than just the tickets early access. You get 2 extra episodes, standing episodes every month. You get Beer with Breaking. You get Power Rankings. You get the historic review episode. And there's probably something else that I'm also forgetting.
That's it.
That is it. Okay, that's all right. Oh,
Birthday
birthday shout outs.
Yeah.
No wonder I forget them. Get it every single month. Join the Discord. The link's in the description where you can get involved. Ben, I hear there might be a quiz coming up.
There is a quiz coming up in a couple of weeks' time. That'll be the Saturday of the Dutch Grand Prix in the evening at 9 p.m. British time. I cannot immediately think what the date of that is, which I know I did the last time you came to me.
24th? Probably.
What day is Dutch GP Day?
The day before that.
Anyway, thanks, folks. Social media is Late Breaking F1. YouTube is Late Breaking F1. Give us a follow. And thanks for being with us through the summer break. We'll be back on Sunday. In the meantime, I've been Samuel Sage.
I've been Ben Hocking.
And I've been Jazzy in the cupboard.
And remember, keep breaking late.
Summertime.